How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today we have with us on the channel Conor Kenny. I'm going to leave links to him underneath the video. You should go subscribe to him. But today we're going over where we are in the market cycle, what we do with $1,000 right now, how high we think the market can go, when to take profits, and all that. We're going to have a really good conversation. So hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video. There is a link down there to Margex in case you want to start trading cryptocurrency. You can use that link underneath the video. There's no KYC. You can set it up in just a few seconds. All deal indicators are on screen, and they have this MP shield. I don't talk about this very much, but it does help protect you from liquidations and price manipulation. So definitely check this out underneath the video and check out the indicator as well, where you can get information on when a good time to dollar cost average into the market is. As you can see here on this chart, we had a dollar cost average signal pump up right here, or pop up right here, and then we went way up, and then we came back down and said DCA again, and then we went even higher up. So definitely check this link out underneath the video as well in case you want help with dollar cost averaging or bullish and bearish momentum for trading. How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We have Conor Kenny on the channel. Conor, thanks so much for coming on.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Okay, so the market is turning around a little bit over the last couple of weeks since the ETFs were approved. Now we're going through a little bit of consolidation. What do you think about the market right now?
We're in a stage in the market where it's extremely hard to tell what's going to happen next, right? Everyone wants to call it exactly where we're going. It's been my opinion over the last probably a month that we're due a real nice correction. I think we haven't had a proper correction yet. So right now we're trading between like 50 and 52,000. We hit a very strong resistance at 52,000. We've actually come down on the weekly to quickly retest the 50,000, and now we're basically figuring out, are we going to lose the 50,000 or are we going to push back up to that 52? Now, if we do start to lose, first of all, 50,000, and then next of all, we actually have 46.8. If we lose those regions, I think it's very likely that we do start the correction that I've been expecting for a while. The last correction was around 21%. I don't personally believe that that was enough to make this parabolic uptrend healthy, although I do think that the market can stay irrational longer than we can stay liquid, right? So who knows what's really going to happen next? It's my gut feeling we're going to have a nice little pullback, and the market will then think that everything's over. Everyone will think that that's the end of the bull run. It happened. It already happened. It was behind us. And there'll be a nice little buying opportunity there for the people who have the bulls. That's kind of my opinion now. But also I'm of the understanding that we could just go absolutely parabolic at any minute.
Yeah, it's difficult because it seems like every little bit of selling pressure, or not even a little bit, like hundreds of millions of dollars being sold by certain entities, is just being swallowed up by the ETFs. So it's kind of hard to understand. Like, let me see if I can share my screen here. If we're just at that part in the cycle where we are just in disbelief. Like, are we just going from depression to disbelief? We don't really know if it will continue up. And then a lot of people are getting left behind, and then we just go back up. Like, we just keep on going up. It's hard to tell right now. Do you have an opinion on that? Like, is there a chance that everyone's just faked out and then we just continue to move up? The point of most pain is just up, or the point of max pain is just up from here?
Well, it's a hard one. So if you look at this, keep the cheat sheet open here. I'll talk about this because I do actually love this. And I think people like to discount how accurate this can be, right? Because it might not follow exactly the trajectory if you put it onto your chart. It might not be the same thing. But you can see here on the right where it goes to disbelief, saying this is a sucker's rally, right on the right. That then leads in to what happens on the left, right? So it's just it's like the cycle that happens. Now, if you see where it's still in disbelief, there is a nice little pullback there. And
Yeah.
that is the pullback that every single time we have seen just before the halving. Now, when I talk on my channel, I made a video about this where I spoke about these pullbacks before the halving, and everyone went, "Look, Conor, you're an idiot. Last time was only because of COVID, and that's the only reason why we pull back." And my simple response to that is, this time is different. Although every time is different, but every time is exactly the same. Like, it's history repeats itself, or history rhymes, doesn't repeat itself. And yes, the last pullback was because of COVID, and the last pullback was because of X, Y, Z, and the one before that was because of X. But in history, we've always had a pullback. The 21% may have been the pullback. I don't know for sure, right? I was buying on that day. I've been buying small amounts here and there to protect myself if we go down, if we don't go down, right? Not protect, to make sure I have exposure to the upside. I'm very exposed to the market, but I still have dry powder in case we get this pullback. So it is my belief that we're exactly there. I think we are in a disbelief here. We're in a disbelief rally. The rally here, then we have a pullback, and then we go into hope, and optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria, and complacency. I believe that that's exactly what's going to happen. It may not line up perfectly, but yeah, that's where I think we are.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. The question is, was that 20% pullback the pullback in disbelief or not? I think it's difficult because a lot of the time too, we see a little bit of a pullback after the halving, if I remember right. And then, we're going into summer. Usually it's a little bit dull. Like crypto usually doesn't do great in the summer. So there's a question about that too. But is there anything else that you're like seeing in the market that either people are missing? Maybe there's some high risk or big potential. Like, is there something that people should be seeing that you don't think they are?
Before we move on, just on the still the subject of a potential pullback, if not a rally, right? The way I've positioned my portfolio, we've talked about this in depth before, but I also invest into Bitcoin miners. And Bitcoin miners, I find a leverage play on Bitcoin, right? We saw CleanSpark go down 10% just the other day when Bitcoin went down 0.5%. So it's like, that's a 20x leverage on what happened to Bitcoin. So it's a huge leverage. And my point of bringing that up is I think it's very important to, if you are someone who is watching the charts every day, like us, we're watching the charts every day. So we all have that nagging feeling of, oh, should I take profits now? Should I rebuy now? Whenever you have those opportunities. And the way I actually combat that is I have baskets that I trade. So my Bitcoin miners, I trade them. I openly trade them. On my Discord, my private one, I openly trade my miners because that's my bag where I'm like, okay, cool. When they go parabolic, which they did, they went absolutely insane recently. And, I think last time we had a chat like this, I told you I was going heavily into CleanSpark. And that is top 3 or 4 biggest dollar value trade I've ever done. Like huge. Like I'm so like, that was like awesome. And it was just clean dollar cost averaging throughout the bear market. Super easy. Didn't watch the charts, didn't care where they were. Just every month I was dollar cost averaging. But now that we're in this stage where we have this euphoric move, I've taken profits. I put stop losses into all of them. So I banked the profits for sure. We're now down 10 to 15% on all of them. So now, as I'm seeing the opportunity, I'm very slowly getting back into the miners. I took about 70% out of my trade. And then now I'm very slowly putting it back in. If it doesn't go, if we don't get lower, I keep the cash, I buy Bitcoin with it, or I buy another investment. If we continue to go down, slowly buying more. And that scratches the itch for me. So I'm not looking at my crypto portfolio going, oh, I need to sell now in case we drop. I don't care because that crypto portfolio is long term. So that's why I say, give yourself 2 baskets if you are someone who wants to trade.
Yeah. And that's something I do too. A little bit is leverage trading, but that's even a smaller part of my portfolio compared to your miners because you made a great trade on those miners. Getting what, 5x, like maybe 8x on some of it?
Yeah. Big. I think, about 4 or 5x, but on a way more substantial amount of money than I would ever normally be trading. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like a good year of dollar cost averaging. And like a good year of pain. I think it's a great lesson. It's a great lesson for myself. Like there was 7-8 months out of 4 months ago, the entire 8 months, every time I put money into the miners, I literally just felt like I was taking a big wad of cash and throwing it into the fire because it just went down. Every time it went down. And I was like, am I doing the right thing here? And then I'll just recheck my idea, my thesis behind Bitcoin miners, why I believe in them. Yes. Every time they go down, it's a blessing, buy more. And it turned out to be perfect, right?
Yeah, I felt like I was a genius because I was buying Google and Amazon and they were rebounding pretty well. And you were putting money into miners and who's laughing now? But is there anything you're seeing then? Obviously, you think that we might see a dip. Any kind of big risks or big opportunities out there that like just the average viewer might not be aware of right now?
For sure. So I've seen something that both me and you are doing at the moment. In my last bull run, I was paying attention to miners. So I'm going to give, sorry, not miners, launch pads. I'll give you 3 things that I think are going to do super well. 1, miners. Why am I saying miners? Get the miners out of my head. Launch pads. That'll be the number 1, right? I made a significant amount of money using launch pads in the last bull run, simply finding the ones that were doing the biggest multipliers, getting the tokens, staking them, investing into pretty much everything, and going through the vesting periods and selling. That's how I made a bunch of money in the last bull run, right? Also, the tokens attached to the launch pads did incredibly well, right? A good thing to remember with those is those tokens go down significantly in a bear market. They will not hold up. So you need to be aware that you need to stake these tokens for X amount of time, depending on the launch pad. And if you can get them out still in the bull run, it's probably a good time to be taking the profits if you have the profits there, or if you're break even, because they will go down. They're only valuable in a bull market. But launch pads and the different ones, there's many. So that's definitely a little niche to look at. Number two, today I actually made a video about this, but Nvidia smashed earnings again. It's very obvious that the AI narrative is going to be huge, but I do think that there is actually a huge play here. And we'll probably see a number of coins do a Cardano-like move that are attached to AI, right? You want to know what I'm looking at, or the things that I talk about today, you can check my most recent video, literally posted today, if Sam posted today. And then the last one would be, what was my last one? Oh, BRC20 tokens, which is it's a tiny niche right now. And even me, I just was like, oh, I can't be bothered. There's just too much to look at. I can't be asked. But I recently paid a little bit more attention to BRC20 tokens, inscriptions on Bitcoin. They are pretty hard to understand. Once you get your head around how the mechanism works, it's actually quite simple. So there's like a barrier to entry there of the knowledge. But I believe that it kind of fits both worlds. You kind of got the degen trader and the Bitcoin maxis. The very maxis don't care about it, but there's a person in between like me. I would say I'm in between. I love Bitcoin, biggest position in my portfolio. Can I get like degen coins on Bitcoin? Well, that sounds interesting. So I think that is also going to be a big space. And the projects that are creating the ecosystems for this are probably going to be the ones that, well, not the ones that pump the most, but the ones that have the most chance of surviving, right? Because we have all the degen coins, and it's like that's like shooting fish in a shooting, like, you know, whatever the
fish in a barrel.
Yeah, fish in a barrel is a bit too easy. I want like the hard saying, you know what I mean? It's like you might get super lucky and find the one that does 100x whatever, but more likely you're going to get burned. Whereas with the ecosystem plays, those are the ones that are really doing something are fewer and far between.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I know a lot of people think that like everyone that's into Bitcoin hates all those, and some do, like the maxis. But I was just talking to someone the other day that's been in Bitcoin for 9 years. And they think everything is good for Bitcoin. Any kind of inscriptions, BRC20 tokens. They even bought a layer 2 for Bitcoin recently, even though they like literally bought a lot of cryptocurrency, a lot of Bitcoin over the last 9 years, like just putting all their money into Bitcoin, essentially. They still think that's good. So yeah, there might be some potential there too if something really valuable comes out, that even the more Bitcoin maximalists that won't buy Ethereum or Cardano or something, they might use that, which is kind of an interesting to think about, because I don't think we really had BRC20 tokens last cycle at all, did we? Stacks, maybe.
I mean, the idea might have been there, but this is a new narrative for the bull run. And I think it's very important to not discount the new narratives that you may not necessarily care about. Like in the last, I think it was the first pump, I was against meme coins. You know, in the first rally, right, before we had the pullback in May, I was against meme coins. I was like, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going for meme coins. And I realized the error of my ways. Like just saying no to a niche just because I think I'm better than that is the most stupid thing as an investor. And I think the best thing you can do is look at yourself and realize you're making a stupid decision just because of some random bias you have. Like, yeah, they're dog coins. Yeah, they're stupid. But old mate over here just made $1 million from it, and I'm going, I'm better than meme coins. Do you know what I mean? It's nonsense. And that was the, you know, the alpha, the narrative at the time.
Yeah, all depends on the goals, right? Are you trying to change the world via Bitcoin adoption, or are you trying to make as much money as possible and you realize the risk you're taking? Maybe that's a difference in us. We're a couple cycles in now, so we're okay playing that game instead of trying to be above it or something. But
exactly, yeah.
If you had $1,000 right now, let's say you're someone new in the market, because there are people now coming into the market. If you had $1,000 to invest today, how would you go about deploying it, and what would you buy?
This is always a tough one because I always like to base it around whether or not this is £1,000 they could just throw in the bin and get on with their day and it hurts their feelings, or it's their only £1,000.
Let's say they have a net worth of $20,000. They have $1,000 to put in the market. Maybe they own a car. They have some in a savings account, some in a retirement account. They maybe make another $100 every pay period that they can put into crypto, but they have $1,000 today
to put into the market now.
Yeah.
Well, let me just get out my portfolio and see. Because my portfolio is highest amount is Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that I would want to say. Like when I'm giving anyone not financial advice in the real world who's asking me about crypto, these are people who don't want to pay attention to the charts. I always refer to Bitcoin and Ethereum as close as we can get to an S&P 500. If you want exposure to the crypto market with upside, but the least amount of risk, tons of risk still, but the least amount, you go for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Don't even care what the price is. Just buy it once a week. Just shut up and buy whatever the amount of money you can give up once per week. Just buy it. Then buy yourself some S&P 500. Forget about it. Do that for the next 5 years. Come back and see if you're a millionaire. Like that's the idea, right? If you want to be a little bit more risky, I would probably take 5 to 10 coins and just put in $100 on each one, and then $10 a month, like you said, because that's the numbers, right? 1,000 at the start, and then now that's gonna diversify the risk, which also will cap the upside. So the lower the amount of coins you pick, bigger upside, but you might pick the wrong one and then it doesn't go anywhere. So the most important thing is an amount that you start with and then being able to continually add to that while we're in the bull run before we get to peak euphoria and then selling it, right? That's what you want to be doing. But some coins that I would be looking at right now, of course, we have the bigger caps, Solana, Polkadot, we got VeChain, very forgotten about. And those are actually, yeah, in my main portfolio, and XRP, I have that as a kind of a play just in case. I don't believe it's going to parabolic levels, but I think it's going to be going up, right? So those are like the bigger caps from the old season, from the old bull market that have made it through. Now, next up, I have been focusing a lot on projects that I believe they're in and around $1 billion now, billions, 2 billion, maybe some 3 now. But these are the ones that can catch, in my opinion, the Cardano wave. I don't know if any of them will, but I want to be exposed to these because Cardano hit, I think, off my head, 80 billion in the bull market, right? So if you're grabbing a $1 billion market cap now, there is actually a not zero chance it does an 80x. So you still got an obscene, like, $1,000 in that. You got 80 grand, which is like insane, right? And it's possible that that happens. So the ones that I have in my own portfolio are Casper, Sui, so SUI, SEI, Say, and Sui. Both came out at pretty much the same time. Don't know why they decided to literally only change one letter, but someone I'm sure is more intelligent than me and knows the reason. Then we have INJ, and I don't know the market cap of ICP, but I do have it. Yeah, that's about 5 or 6. So it's a little bit bigger, but I do also have exposure to ICP in that little category. So those are the ones that are a little bit more risky, but still not that risky.
Yeah.
And then I have Vannery, which it was a gaming project, and then it moved into an L1. That's about $100 million market cap, so that has room to do huge moves. And then we have the smaller caps. We have meme coins. And then we have, like, the little things that I'm playing with here and there. I don't want to go in too depth with the crazy ones in case they go to zero. You know what I mean? If you guys want to know, come onto my channel. But what we've gone over there are the ones that I would be telling anyone. These are the least likely to go to actual zero, but they can give you huge upside.
Nice. It's interesting. I saw someone mention this the other day when they were looking at the performance of different cryptos. The S's, Solana, Sui, Say, all were doing extremely well. And then all the X's were doing horribly, like XRP, XTP, like all the, it's just weird because that's pretty consistent. Like XRP, people love it, but it hasn't moved in a very long time since like that case. Yeah. So you mentioned something interesting there. You brought up some old cryptos, like old layer ones from last cycle or the cycle before. a lot of the time what we see is like new liquidity coming into the new cryptos. Maybe it's because of narratives. Maybe it's because they have like a lot of advertising budget. I'm not sure, but last cycle we had Luna, Solana. We had those sucking up so much of the liquidity. Do you think it's smart to go into a cycle investing in some of those old layer ones that are maybe a little bit slower, worse technology, maybe just in general, like it gets more complicated when they upgrade the chain because they have all these different integrations and stuff that they have to make sure work well. What do you think about investing in those versus just like putting it into a new layer one?
The new ones.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because like there's the meme in crypto that I'm here for the tech, right? So yes, the tech can be crap. Cardano's pretty crap. Let's be honest. Like, what are you doing? How are you this slow at doing stuff? Like, come on. Like, we're in another bull market now. What were you playing at?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Why is this not a chain that works? Like, what are we doing? What's happening? Sorry to any Cardano lovers, but
you're gonna get some haters.
Yeah, but it's not fast enough yet. It's not done yet. It's not gone to market enough yet. But I still think that Cardano will do well in the bull market. So it still has a place in my portfolio. That's why I am now diversified between old projects, new projects, because I think the old projects will still run because they have such big communities. I actually have a whole series on the channel about projects with big communities, and they've done really well. But the newer one, which is Casper in that portfolio, has done better than all the rest. Yeah. But the big communities have done well. So I do believe that when we go parabolic, you know, when you know, that's a mode where everything essentially goes up. So I think there's room for it. And I think at these market caps where they haven't, like these bigger ones haven't gone parabolic. So less downside, less upside, but maybe a little bit more safety when it comes to, you know, having a little bit of diversification there.
Sure. Just a reminder, you can trade Caspa with the link to Margex underneath the video. One of the only places that doesn't have KYC where you can trade Caspa. 2 last questions. Do you have an exit strategy, and what's it look like for these cryptos?
The exit strategy will change. So it's a very hard question to answer for me, especially. I'm very risk on. I think we're different in that in so much of a sense. I will base my trading on what's happening in the market. So I could tell you that when Bitcoin breaks 69K, I believe that will be a blow off top and we'll go to 100K pretty quickly. And in that region, if that happens, altcoins will go absolutely parabolic, and that's where I'll be taking profits. The amount of profits will depend on how parabolic we go. I may take 10% a day for 10 days in a row. That may be the case if we go absolutely insane, and I believe that this is an unsustainably fast move, because we've seen that before. If you look at the charts for the last bull run, the second pop upwards was so quick. If I see something like that happen again, I will be dollar cost averaging out. And the speed in which I do that will solely depend on how quickly we move up. For example, the way we've moved up here has been a little bit quick, but not like insane to the point where I'm like, there's no way this can sustain. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have reasons why we're here. We have the ETF. That's the reason why we're here. We have the Ethereum ETF that may come. We have these things. We have the halving. You know, we have these things and these catalysts. If we get a parabolic run, we move really fast, we see Elon Musk on SNL pushing Dogecoin, those sorts of things, I will be dollar cost averaging out, and I will be doing that at a faster pace than I even did it in the last bull. I learned my lesson in the first bull run, 2017, to take profits because I lost everything that one. 2021, I did take profits, but not enough, not quick enough. So this time around, the most likely scenario is I cash out too fast, too early. I miss out on a little bit of the upside. But I always like to refer to when I got out of Solana as it's the perfect way in hindsight to look back at. I got into it off my memory, I think it was $30, because I think this time, yeah, $30 last time around, because this time around I got in at $17. But last time around was about $30. I then got out at $180. It then went to $250. I was an idiot for the couple of weeks, a couple of months where it went from 180 to 250. I was dumb for doing that. I felt stupid. I was like, why have I done this? But we all know what happened next. So in my experience now, it's better for me to get out too early, but not too early, but too early, you know, that comparison with Solana, and then just sit and wait. And during the period of Solana going from 180 to 250, that's a parabolic period. And we can trade that market. We can get into the meme coins that are going parabolic. We can get into the new caps that are going parabolic. We can get into early investments on launch pads that are going parabolic. But we have, let's say, 50% of our portfolio now in cash. So if we go into a bear market really quickly before anyone realizes, boom, I'm safe again. Now I diversify. I buy more crypto, I buy property, I buy some businesses, and then we just wait, we rinse and repeat until we go into the next cycle.
Yeah. I feel like we could talk for hours on this because like every single time I ask you a question, I have like follow-up questions to you, which I won't go into that. But the thought process for me is like, okay, or my next question would be, are you going to hold some Bitcoin? Because what if we have institutions continuously buy or they add it to a retirement target date fund, and then Bitcoin never goes down, and then you never get another chance to buy it? Or like, when do you sell your altcoins versus your Bitcoin? Because typically we see altcoins pump after Bitcoin, but with the ETFs, maybe it doesn't happen the same way. So I won't subject you to all those questions, but yeah, sometime when we meet in person, we just need to film for like 2 hours or something, and then post a mega video. Last question. If someone comes up to you and says, how much Bitcoin is enough for me? And I'm just an average person, right? Making average income, average net worth. Like, what is a significant amount of Bitcoin?
I would say it's hard now because I've been saying everyone should have one Bitcoin, but I've been saying that to my friends for the last 2 years. So we've only been parabolic like this for a month or two. So like my opinion up until recently was try and get one Bitcoin. You know, it's like 20 grand, guys. Like, you know, it's 20 grand. It's tons of money. But if you put in everything that you have for just 6 months or 10 months, you put all of that money in, you know, maybe you get half a Bitcoin, maybe you get a quarter of a Bitcoin, maybe you get a full Bitcoin, depending on your salary, whatever it is. If you have this disposable income that's just sitting there, I have friends who have disposable income and all they do is save it, just like I did for 10 years of working. I just saved, I didn't invest enough, and I kicked myself for that. I would say one Bitcoin will be just an insane amount of money one day. That's my belief. But I do believe that anyone should get just some Bitcoin. And if that doesn't, like if 0.01% or 0.01 Bitcoin doesn't turn into $1 million, because it probably won't. Maybe it does, you know, maybe there's some crazy world that happens. But just having exposure to the market will just switch you on to this whole new world that, you know, essentially we didn't even know it existed, you know, before 2017, 2020, whenever it was. So just having exposure to the market opens yourself up. When you see your portfolio change in price, you know, you have 0.001 Bitcoin, you have 0.1 Ethereum, you have a little bit of this stuff, you have a portfolio and you watch it. You're more inclined to learn about it. And then when you're learning, you're more inclined to come across an opportunity where you may very well turn $10 into $1,000. That sort of thing can happen, but that will only happen if you expose yourself to the market. So let's say at least 0.1 Bitcoin to answer your question.
Okay.
I would like to see as many people right now who are watching these videos at this time get one Bitcoin. Now it's a big ask now. It wasn't a big ask when I was saying it before, so I need to think about that a little bit more. But as much as you can, without putting yourself in a place that if we go back down to 20K tomorrow, it's not going to put you in depression. It's not going to put you in financial ruin, but enough that you can buy, and just buy it once a week, as much as you can afford to lose. Don't go out for the next year. Give up drinking for a year. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to cut back on my drinking. Just give up going out. Maybe you have a couple of beers at home with your friends. You just don't go out. Take that money, $20, $30, $40, $100, however much you would spend on that night out, and on that Friday, buy some Bitcoin. And just do that for a year and see where you end up.
So I heard everything you said. Couple things I picked out. Start with 0.01 Bitcoin. Try to get up to 0.1 Bitcoin if possible. So start with maybe $500. I think a lot of people, you know, maybe get some birthday money, $100 from their grandma or something like that. That can be a good start. 0.1 Ethereum, which is about $300, and you know, maybe a little bit of Solana too in there, 5 Solana, something like that. There you go. There's your starter portfolio. About $1,000, $1,200, just like we were talking about before. Really risk off, but that's a good place to start so that you're interested in the market. I think there's something to be said too. You need to buy something, because otherwise you just stay on the sidelines. Like after you start buying, you want to buy more, but you can like look at the market for months and years without buying anything, and it's like really easy if you don't take that first step. But appreciate you giving those numbers too. I think that's a good place to start. Conor, thanks so much for coming on. Again, your links are underneath the video. Go check out Conor's channel. He gives a lot of good information out there. Uh,